Hi, I'm Bill Snodgrass, and I am the author of the World of Siliar stories. And I want to, in this video, I want to talk a little bit about the names. I get asked sometimes, where do you get all your names? And I get comments sometimes like, "Wow, you've got a lot of characters. You've got a lot of names. There's a lot of people in your story." And so I want to comment on that real quick, and then tell you a little bit about where I get the names. There's a reason for there being a lot of people. And that's because the world is complicated and large, and the World of Siliar is kind of a realistic fantasy. And if you're going to overthrow the evil overlord in the World of Siliar, you can't just go take a piece of jewelry and throw it into a volcano. There's going to be a geopolitical movement that needs to take place. It is not the kind of fantasy where unexplainable things happen. There's a grounded framework out of which the whole world operates, kind of like, the whole world. It's like the whole world except with another type of force, magic. So because of that, there's a lot of people, and the people have to pull together and work together in order to accomplish things. And also, there were people in other fantasy series that seemed to be important but really didn't get any mention or they were never really identified. Now that makes it that makes it easier on the reader, but it makes it less realistic. And so where there has been a reason at all to give someone a name, I've given them names. And now that brings us back to, where do I get my names? And how do I keep up with them? I have a document of names and character sketches, and then now it is expanded to include like little encyclopedic entries about the different kinds of tea in the world and the names that they use for different things in the world. And that's a document that I'm trying to clean that up and make it something that I can share with people. Right now, it is a vastly complex, almost unusable document. I can only use it because I know what's in there, and I've been working with it since 1987, which is why it's become, after all these years, so cumbersome and burdened with. I need to clean that up before I could share it. But where do I get the names? Well, obviously I run into people in the world and in real life, and I will say, oh, that's a cool name. I'm going to respell it. So that's one of the ways I get names, is by respelling names of regular common names. And one of the things I'll do is, like, if you have a bilabial, the bilabial B, I might replace that with a P, and now instead of Albert, you have Alpert. And Alpert is kind of a weird name, somebody who passes through a story, because that's kind of weird, that's hard to say. But that's one way, swapping vowels, swapping consonants. So those are some strategies. So strategy one is take a name that you already have and respell it. I spelled Emily. I thought no one in the world will ever spell Emily this way. Well, I've come across people who actually spell their name the way that I changed Emily to be spelled. Other character names are made up or derived from something else. So Lancel is actually the first part of Lancelot, and I just thought Lancelot, I thought that sounded really well, so I just took that and respelled it and made it Lancel, and I thought that sounded like a good name. So that some names are just made up. Some of the Korgal and Korgoth and Lennox and some of the non-human characters, Gonal, Cameron made up some of those names. Gonal, I think, is one of Cameron's. So names some of the names are just made up. And then other names are taken from, like, I will see a list of names. And I remember I was in another educational venue at one point back in the past, and there was a list of people who needed to turn in, like, scholarship information. And I was looking at the list of names, I was like, oh, that's a cool name. And so I put that into the story. The name, a lot of the names have been around for years and years. And so there's a guy that just does some videos on my other channel with me. His name's Nathan, and then one of the main characters in the story is Nathan. And he goes, wow, you named him for me? And I was like, no, I named him in 1987. Where were you in 1987? He's like, oh yeah, I wasn't born then. And also, I've known a lot of Nathans, including my son. That's an interesting story, and I'll close on that. So I named the characters Nathan, Hobb, Lancel, Edwin. Those guys all came together in 1987 when I started writing. In 1989, my first son was born. And I stopped writing for a while because we were busy. And then in 1990, my second son was born, and my wife, we picked the name Nathan. And I'd kind of forgotten about the World of Siliar, and then in a few months after everything was kind of settled back down, I started writing again. I was like, oh, there's a character in my book named Nathan, and my son's named Nathan. And I decided to keep it. I decided not to change it. And then I added another character, Sir Anthony, to go with my 2-year-old son at the time. So, and if you have ever had 2-year-olds, it is Sir Anthony of No. I spelled it N-O-E, but if you had a 2-year-old, you would know exactly why he was Sir Anthony of No. Sir Anthony becomes, in the 2016 version, a far, far more important character than he was in the original series, the 2005 version. And that was kind of intentional. He's an awesome character. He has some great skill set. So that's it. Those are the three ways. Some names are respellings of common names. Other names are made up on the spot for that particular character. And some names I just find like a list. I found a character name. It was spelled C-I-N-D-A. C-I-N-D-A. I thought that's pretty cool. I think I'll grab that and dropping letters off of names. So I've got that. All right. Hopefully this was somewhat interesting. That's how I got my names. You can use this technique to get names for your own characters. Just make them yours, own them, give them some characteristics. There's only like so many syllables. There is literally a combination of sounds. There's a maximum number of, and it's a huge number, but you can only, like a syllable, a consonant, vowel, consonant, syllable. There's only so many of those that can be created, so you just recombine those. We're going to end up using names that other people have used. Especially if you have short names. All right, much more than you probably wanted to know. Go over to the World of Siliar, get some reading done. Leave me some comments and messages. Let me know what you think. If you have any questions, I would love to answer them. That's all. See you in the next video.